Is my hair all right? Anyhow, there have been some interesting discussions on my video page, or rather my Facebook page, about non-attachment, this idea of non-attachment that comes out of Buddhism and Taoism. And I thought that I would take the opportunity to do a series of videos, perhaps, of course I keep saying that I'm going to make series, it doesn't always happen, but at least one, and then we'll see, about Buddhism, Taoism, Eastern concepts, loosely speaking coming out of the Zen Buddhist Taoist tradition on the one hand, and acceptance and commitment therapy processes on the other. And I'd like to start with this idea of non-attachment. One of the things that, say, Zen teachers and yoga teachers and other sorts of spiritual teachers in the West talk about and is poorly understood, and I'm going to speak from my understanding as a Zen student as well as my understanding as a psychologist and acceptance and commitment therapy practitioner. So, put very simply, non-attachment is the no longer paying much attention to whether something hurts or whether it feels good. Okay, that's not what people think it means. People think it's some kind of self-protective distancing, like, oh, I'm not going to feel anything anymore, so I'll be non-attached to it. That's not what it is. It is not being attached to feeling good or feeling bad, and it is almost exactly what we mean in acceptance and commitment therapy by willingness. Willingness to have good experiences, good feelings, willingness to have bad experiences, bad feelings, or feelings and experiences that our minds label as being good or bad and really probably would be more accurately described as comfortable or uncomfortable, pleasurable or displeasurable. So that openness to pleasure or displeasure is non-attachment. Now, why would we go there, shall we say? Well, this has to do with valued action. So pure action, action that comes from the heart, that comes from what we care about most, is unattached, non-attached action. So for instance would be the one I just typed about on Facebook page is, I love my child and it does not matter, it is not contingent upon what happens in the future. I would love my child even if I had a crystal ball and knew that he would be dead within a few years. Probably love him even more. Or knew that he'd become a criminal within a few years. I would love and care for my child no matter what the circumstances. And in fact, if an evil scientist somehow implanted something in the back of my head that interfaced with my brain and made sure that I felt terrible whenever I loved or cared for, whenever I looked after the well-being of my child, whenever I did the things for him that are the most helpful for him, sent me a terrible jolt of displeasure. And that whenever I ignored him and didn't do these things, this probe would give me this great jolt of enormous pleasure. I would do nothing differently. I would keep right on loving my child and right on caring for him, acting exactly the same. That's non-attached action, which in Taoist tradition in Chinese is known as Wu-Wei, not acting or non-action, which is very misinterpreted as being inaction. It's not inaction. It's action without way. Action without purpose, non-purpose. Now, of course, it has a purpose, but what the Chinese mean is without the usual purpose that we have of getting something for ourselves, getting some pleasure, avoiding some displeasure. This is the same as not clinging neither to pleasure nor to displeasure. And in the wonderful language of radical behavior theory, this is appetitive stimulus control as contrasted with aversive stimulus control. So there we have it. We've bridged Lao Tzu from, who knows, 5,000, 7,000 years ago, all the way to post-Skinnerian behavior theory in probably about 5 minutes. Hope that helps. I intend to do more later on this very topic, or one related to it.